It's finally time. I'm back, and this is the video you've been waiting for. If you watched some of my last videos that I made like a month ago, whenever last I uploaded, I don't know, it's been more than a month, but I teased a video talking about my experience with taking notes on an iPad. It's been a while since I teased that video, but this is finally it. So let's get into it. For the last several months now, I've been using an iPad to take my notes, and I'm going to be talking about my general kind of experience with it, and also kind of some of the quirks of the Apple Pencil, and also just like the note-taking app that I use, because the Apple Notes app is really not that great, so I wouldn't recommend using it. You definitely want to buy your own note-taking app because it is worth the money. So let's go ahead and start off with talking with the Apple Pencil, since that's the thing you're going to be using to take your notes. So first off, I want to get this off my chest. My biggest pet peeve with the Apple Pencil is you cannot use it while it is charging. Yes, it would be awkward to use it while charging, having a cord dangling off of it, but sometimes I've been in situations where my Apple Pencil is about to die, and I just really need to write something down, and I just don't want to type it up or try and write with my finger, and I just want to use my Apple Pencil to scribble something down, but I have to have it charging, so you can't charge the Apple Pencil and use it at the same time, which seems kind of weird, and they should really have an alternate solution to that. Because I don't know, you just get into those awkward situations and it's really frustrating because you try and get enough battery in it that you can write with it, but then it ends up dying in the middle of you trying to write with it and you got to plug it in again. It would just be easier if it could function while charging. Also, the price point on the Apple Pencil is a bit high at $100. I definitely think they could lower that. I would pay like $30 or $50 for it. But at $100, I feel like that's pretty high, although it is about the best stylus you can get for a tablet, so I was willing to spend the money just to get it, even though it did really hurt my conscience. Now let's talk about the actual writing experience, because that's going to be a big part of it, actually writing on the iPad itself. Overall, it had a slight learning curve, for me at least, where I was kind of sloppier with my writing at first, but soon I got to the point where I was writing on the iPad as easily as I was writing on just normal paper. I actually noticed a slight improvement in my handwriting on normal paper after getting accustomed to the iPad, just because it is a slicker surface, so it requires a little bit more control, and now that finer control has translated to better handwriting on paper, which was kind of a weird, unforeseen occurrence. But hey, I'll take it. My handwriting was messy, and now it's just a little bit cleaner. One thing to note is that the iPad itself, not the iPad Pro, just the normal iPad 6th gen, does have a little bit more space between the glass and the actual LCD, which can kind of affect your depth perception when writing, whereas the iPad Pros do have a smaller gap there, so the screen is much closer to the glass, so your pen is basically writing directly on the actual display itself. There's not a big depth between those two pieces in the iPad. So I got used to it on my normal iPad 6th gen, but if you think that that might be an issue, having that little extra millimeter or so in between the screen and the top glass, then you might want to get an iPad Pro, because it'll be a much better writing experience for you. So moving along to the app that I am using to take my notes, I am using GoodNotes. It costs like $7 or $8, I believe, on the Apple Store. You can look it up yourself, but there's a new version of it out. I started on GoodNotes 4, now GoodNotes 5 is out. So I really liked GoodNotes 4. GoodNotes 5 is a lot better, but I don't like that it doesn't have an auto backup feature to automatically push PDFs of all my notes to my Google Drive. I have to do it manually now, which kind of makes me angry. But other than that, it is a very good note-taking app. I love using GoodNotes to annotate and edit PDFs, even like signing documents and whatnot. You can just load a PDF in there, do whatever you want with it, draw on it, highlight, whatever, and then you can export it as a PDF, or just keep that PDF in your notes. You can compile PDFs by importing them into notebooks and then exporting the entire notebook as a PDF. So you can really use it kind of like a PDF editor, as long as you're not wanting to type things in, really, because they're much better editors for actually editing it, but for annotating PDFs, it is a very good app. I love that they don't limit you to just using iCloud or any other service. You can really back up your notes anywhere. GoodNotes 4 had automatic backups, which was really nice. GoodNotes 5 does not. It has manual backups. I don't know why they weren't able to pass that on. Supposedly they're working on automatic backups for GoodNotes 5. I don't know when that's going to happen, so I'm just going to have to sit here and be angry about it. But GoodNotes 5 is a very good app. They have tabs at the top to tab through different notebooks. and overall, just being able to access multiple types of storage, including the storage on your iPad, is very nice, and you're not limited to accessing things in the cloud or any other type of cloud storage. It can really use anything that you can install on your iPad. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about my experience using an iPad versus paper for taking my notes. The major thing that I wanted when switching to an iPad for taking notes was to reduce the amount of stuff in my backpack. I am an engineering student. I have a lot of classes, a lot of labs and whatnot, so it's not just like having one subject notebook for each class. It's like you have to have one subject notebook for the class, one subject notebook for the lab. Sometimes I'd have two notebooks for a single class because I already filled up one and I need to carry my notes for it so I can reference them. And then I'm adding on to the second notebook because I've overflown into the next one. So just carrying around, on average, about 7 one-subject notebooks, or sometimes I'd carry like 1 5-subject notebook and 2 1-subject notebooks, or whatever the situation was. I was carrying around like a ream of paper everywhere I went, and I really wanted to reduce that and just get everything digitized so I didn't have to carry around all that weight and have all that clutter in my bag. And I was also able to get a smaller backpack, not as baggy, that I can just fit my iPad, and like I keep one notebook in there just in case I need paper for writing something up real quick and tearing out a page and turning it in for a class or something. But yeah, definitely reducing the weight and reducing the amount of paper. And also reducing the paper is better for the environment. You're not putting as much paper into landfills, you're not cutting down as many trees. So I think overall it's a bit more green to use the iPad rather than paper. As I said before, GoodNotes also makes it really easy to work with PDFs, which is nice for a lot of classes, but also that means that if your teacher publishes slides for the course, you can download those slides, and then you can export the slides with notes on the side, or however you want to export them into a PDF file, and load them straight into your notes. GoodNotes actually even supports just downloading a PowerPoint and just putting the slides into your notes. Each slide will be its own page, so you won't get a note section or anything. But yeah, it's really easy to work with class-provided slides, and that's what I'm doing for my psychology class right now. I'm not really taking notes in there. I just sit down with the slides in front of me, and I highlight and write in notes and annotate them and do things like that, because I don't really feel like writing out the full notes for psychology. It just doesn't really work for me learning things when it comes to courses like that are very conceptual. I like to just kind of see the information presented, highlight the important parts, and then I can go back through, read over that, kind of embedded into my brain, and that just works better for me. So having the iPad to do that is very helpful, and it's just overall a really good experience. Not to mention with my math courses, which make up like a fourth of what I take at school, being able to have just tons of paper to write things out and to have scratch paper at the ready, where I can just write out a problem is super handy, and also making study guides out of old tests by taking the PDF of the old test and then cutting in pages in between the different pages of the test so I can write out notes and solve problems. It's just really helpful to just mess around with things like that and kind of make your own study materials within it, using it as a PDF editor. So yeah, I've really enjoyed that part of it too, so I don't have to carry around a bunch of paper copies of old tests so I can study for my upcoming test. So it's overall just a really good lightweight experience, and writing with the Apple Pencil now is basically just like writing with a normal pencil to me. So I don't really notice any difference writing on the iPad versus writing on a piece of paper. So in conclusion, I would definitely recommend switching to an iPad for note-taking if you can afford it. In the long run, I did the math, I'll probably save some money by the time I graduate from college by using the iPad over buying notes and notebooks and pencils and refilling pens and whatnot. So by the end, I should come out ahead since I was able to get my iPad and everything on sale. But if you're thinking about it, I would definitely recommend just going into a store that sells iPads. Usually they have them on display with an Apple Pencil. You can play around with it, see if you like it or not, and then you can go from there. It is going to be a very personal choice whether you like writing on the iPad or not. That's really going to be one of the key factors. But if you do enjoy it, the possibilities are basically endless with editing PDFs and whatnot. Not to mention all the other uses for Apple Pencils that I don't really use them for, like photo editing, video editing. I'm sticking to all that on my PC, and my iPad's basically just for productivity and note-taking. So definitely, if you guys are interested, go check it out in the store. If you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like on it. If you like the content on this channel, go ahead and subscribe. And then if you guys have any comments on the content of this video about taking notes on an iPad, if you have any experience with that, definitely let me know down in the comment section below what your experiences were, or if you just have any general comments on the video. I will see you guys in the next video.